let's talk about a news article. Two of them, actually. This is from Covert Action Magazine. Lancet study places Gazan death toll at possibly over 186,000. Staggering figure amounts to 8% of population of Gaza. August 7th marks the 10-month anniversary of the Israeli attack on Gaza. And let's see. A study by the Lancet, the prestigious British peer-reviewed, just make sure my mic's on, medical journal, warns that the death toll could be 186,000 or more, almost 5 times the official figure of just over 38,000, and a staggering figure which amounts to 8% of the population of Gaza. Hey, Chris, free Palestine, absolutely. So I have this Lancet, the article they're referencing here, and it's a good one to read, guys, but I just want to read a couple of paragraphs from here. By June 19th, about 37,000 people had been killed in the Gaza Strip. However, I just want to get to this paragraph. Armed conflicts have indirect health implications beyond the direct harm from violence. Even if the conflict ends immediately, there will continue to be many indirect deaths in the coming months and years from causes such as reproductive, communicable, and non-communicable diseases. The death toll is expected to be large given the intensity of this conflict. Destroyed healthcare infrastructure, severe shortages of food, water, and shelter, the population's inability to flee to safe places, and the loss of funding to UNRWA, one of the very few, humanitarian organizations still active in the Gaza Strip. So, this is a couple weeks old, this article, and I think, you read this paragraph here. In recent conflicts, such indirect deaths range from 3 to 15 times the number of direct deaths. That's important. Applying a conservative estimate of 4 indirect deaths per 1 direct death to the 37,000 approximate deaths reported, it is not implausible to estimate that up to 186,000 or even more deaths could be attributable to the current conflict in Gaza. Using the 2022 Gaza Strip population estimate of 2.3 million, 2.4, this would translate to 7 to 9% of the total population in the Gaza Strip. A report from February 7th, 2024, at the time when the direct death toll was 28,000, estimated that without a ceasefire there would be between 58,000 deaths without an epidemic or escalation, and 85,000 deaths if both occurred by August 6, 2024. So they also say an immediate and urgent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip is essential, accompanied by measures to enable the distribution of medical supplies, food, clean water, and other resources for basic human needs. So, and guys, Israel, if you have somebody saying it's not a genocide, I mean, they've bombed every single hospital, every single one. They bombed almost every single school. They're targeting athletes, scientists, teachers. So this is, and children as well. So men, women, and children. So targeting infrastructure and children. I mean, come on, what does that tell you guys? Just to get back to this article here, and like, I just want to say, the only people that are keeping track of these deaths are the Gaza Ministry of Health, the U.S., other countries, Israel. They refuse to count deaths. And what does that tell you? So they can just say, oh, the Gaza Ministry of Health is just Hamas, because that's the only only group of people that are counting deaths. So yeah, that's very shady. It really says something about Israel. Thank you, Freddie, for coming to the stream. And just to read a couple more sentences from this article. Josh Paul, who resigned his position in the State Department, compared Israeli army operations to the carpet bombing of Germany during World War II. And let's see. There's a couple more sentences. Sorry, I'm not prepared. The U.S. has long supported Israel as a key strategic proxy and junior partner in the Middle East. So the Israel and U.S., they're like buddies. The U.S. is a fading empire. They need Israel to keep an eye on things in the Middle East so we can constantly expand. And Israel and the U.S. further support the Israeli takeover of Gaza so they can access offshore oil deposits that were discovered in 1989 and which currently fall under the jurisdiction of the Palestinian Authority, as was mandated under the 95 Oslo Accords. The Gaza coast has natural gas deposits, which the Biden administration has encouraged Israel to develop, though Hamas claims Gazans should have control over. And yeah, so Israel, they see Arabs and Palestinians as animals. They really, they just want them gone. Just evaporated, bombed to dust, guys. But not only that, they don't want to just murder them all, kick them out. They want to kick them out so they can get the oil, gas, minerals, all that stuff, guys. So follow the money as well. In late June, the White House bragged that it had provided more than $6.5 billion in weapons since October 7th, a figure nearly double the U.S.'s typical annual Israel military aid budget of $3.4 billion, which was further supplemented by $14 billion in weapons funding allocated by Congress this year. So, I mean, guys, I'm not a Marxist or a communist or whatever, but if we're going to go commit genocide so the weapons and all the corporations can get rich, it's like billions upon billions of dollars. I mean, that can solve homelessness. We can all get health care. Everybody can have a home. And children can be fed. It's not rocket science, guys. I mean, all you conservative peoples out there, Republicans, or liberals too, like, come on, dude. And like, how the Pentagon just loses trillions of dollars. It just looks like, whoops, an accounting error, you know? That's kind of a topic for a different day. Couple more sentences to read here. The weapons have included thousands of precision-guided munitions, Hellfire missiles, artillery ammunition, charges for howitzers, tank rounds, shoulder-fired rockets, small-diameter bunker buster, and 2,000-pound bombs. Back in like February, they had already dropped over 200 2,000-pound bombs. We'll have to look up what that number is now. Dr. Agnes Calmard, the Secretary General of Amnesty International, said that the U.S. weapons have been used by IDF forces in the obliteration of Palestinian families. And David DeCamp reported in antiwar.com on July 10th that a U.S.-made GBU-39 small-diameter bomb, a 250-pound munition made by Boeing, struck a school in the town of Abasan that was sheltering civilians, killing 31 people, including 8 children. Looks like it's this an Al Jazeera documentary is out. Many members of this Salim family were killed when the IDF bombed an apartment building in Gaza City, murdering more than 100 civilians. U.S. society, yes, Freddie. It's all about making money for yourself. It's very individual. It's all about you, man. If you're not making money, then get out the way, pretty much. You are correct. So after they bomb buildings, right, the civilians move to another building across town. And they bomb other buildings by IDF Special Forces officers. And they're also in front of women and children. The women were stripped naked and they beat, tortured, and executed the men. There's many cases where 100+ civilians were killed in Israeli airstrikes, many of them carried out with U.S.-made weapons, and many other Gazans were subjected to beatings and torture. I gotta watch this documentary then, so... Israeli soldiers firing on unarmed Gazans, desperately trying to get food, and others walking down the street, and blatant war crimes. They're doing war crimes left and right, guys. Every single day. And I'm not going to read the rest of this, but man, this really goes into detail how October 7th was the false flag attack. And the Israeli government deliberately allowed it to happen. A report on ABC News featured IDF female soldiers at a surveillance outpost along the Gaza border who said they reported to their superiors on suspicious activity by Hamas before October 7th, but the reports were ignored. Israel let this happen. They let Hamas. They knew what Hamas was about to do, dude. So, got a former CIA official. He says, I find it impossible to believe that Israel did not have multiple informants inside Gaza, as well as electronic listening devices all along the border wall, which would have picked up movements of groups and vehicles. In other words, the whole thing might be a tissue of lies, as is often the case. A former IDF intelligence official. There's no way Israel did not know what's coming, she says. How come border crossings were wide open? Something is very wrong. Something's very strange. It's very unusual and not typical for the Israeli defense system. To me, this surprise attack seems like a planned operation on all fronts. They have hundreds of cameras, radars, and other sensors along the border fence. Dude, this smart fence is more than 6 meters high, approximately 20 feet. The obstacle is built so that even a fox cannot pass it. Something doesn't add up to me, a commander of the Kareem Shalom Battalion said. Yeah, this guy, somebody asked, how the hell does a Palestinian tractor move towards the fence without anyone reacting to it? Yeah, dude. So it goes on. They're asking questions. Their own are asking questions. So the war is good for Netanyahu. He has internal problems, Freddie says. With the war, he can ignore him. Exactly. So this genocide has long been the ambition of Israel's far right, which refers to the Palestinians in the kind of subhuman terminology that Nazis once applied to Slavs and Jews. Here you go, Freddie. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu needed a war, furthermore, to retain his power. He wanted to turn the Israeli people's attention away from growing class inequalities in his own corrupt practices, which may yet land him in jail. Right on cue, Freddie. So, yeah, man. This is a really good article to read, guys. And it has a link to the Lancet study there. Really sad stuff. So definitely find some GoFundMe, guys, to give aid to, give mutual aid to. Try not to give it to like big corporations, man. Try to find that a couple GoFundMes that go to that one specific family, so the money gets in their pockets. I just don't trust these corporations. Like, you give them the money, and maybe they'll buy some supplies, but it's like there's so many like trucks that Israel's not letting in. So it's like, oh, we have gathered so much aid. These big non-profits, right? But like, what good is it when it doesn't even get to them, you know? They're just stuck in trucks at the borders. So